set for the start of the second moto of round 9 of the AMA National Motocross Championship Series. Nice and cool and a bit overcast here in Minnesota. Great day for racing as the gate drops and the charge is on for turn 1. And here comes that Yamaha again. Number 16, John Dowd, grabs another hole shot, tangle in the back. Oh, there's number 7, Mike LaRocco, tangled up in the first turn. Well, he's going to feel at home back there. There were about 3 guys behind him, which would make him 37 going to turn 2 as John Dowd leads it up front. Number 10, Brian Swink, jumps into the number 2 position on the Suzuki. The best shot he's had at winning one of these things since the season opener. Kyle Lewis is number 53 in third, challenged by Jeff Stanton up the inside, and Stanton will take over third spot. Another great opportunity for John Dowd with LaRocco stuck in the back.
Well, I've mentioned before, the only way anybody's going to beat LaRocco is if they get off to a great start and he gets a terrible one, and there's exactly what, I mean, the stage is set now. Swink, a couple of big swaps there. Swink is very fast in the first couple of laps of the race, and sometimes he carries that through to the finish as he did at Gainesville. But if Dowd can hold him off, I think he'll act as a pretty good buffer for the rest of those guys. Swink rides a wide bike.
LaRocco is making an amazing charge through the traffic. Let's see if we can pick up here. That would be, I think, 14th, 15th, maybe 16th spot. We got just a glimpse of number 7, and he has annihilated half of this field in a little more than half a lap. This is the kind of patented charge for which Mike LaRocco has become known. So often he's had to come from the back. Here he's alongside the privateer Kawasaki of Buddy Antunez. He'll pick him off with ease. Jeff Matasevich is next in line. Boy, he's blasting the burn.
Well, you know, as we watch him, I mean, watch how well he works on these guys. He's inside, he's outside, he plans his moves. He doesn't follow these guys very much. We'll see if he can, what he can do here with Matasevich. He's up the outside. He squares it, cuts across the inside. I mean, he just creates opportunities like that everywhere he goes. He's so clever at working through the pack, and you know, with the terrible starts he gets a lot of practice.
Here's the second and third place battle. The 2 Michiganders, Brian Swink and Jeff Stanton. Both these guys like the sand, perhaps for different reasons. Swink spends a lot of time racing in Florida and has become very accustomed to the sandy soil down there. Stanton likes the sandy tracks because they require a lot of strength, and that's always been his forte. He is alongside Swink for second spot and will take over that position. Jeff Stanton's got a good ride going here as he's headed for the front in search of John Dowd. Let's go to Art with Swink's mechanic.
Brian was as quick as anybody on this track in practice. He likes the sand.
Yeah, he's his home track is sand, so he's right at home in it.
You feel confident about his position right now?
He's having a problem with some arm pumps these last few races, and he's trying to overcome that. Other than that, his speed's just fine.
So you're really not expecting much, huh?
Just hoping a top 5 finish.
For the moment, Swink has a podium finish. Behind him, there's a great battle raging for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Number 34 is Jimmy Button. He is 4th. And side by side for 5th, number 2, Jeremy McGrath, making the pass on number 11, Larry Ward. And in this trio, it appears that McGrath is the man on the move.
McGrath looks really strong right here. He made a nice move on Larry Ward and accelerated up the hill. I mean, he just looks really good. I can tell a difference between him and, ooh, Brooks is down.
Larry Brooks hits the dirt, but jumps right back on it, facing the wrong way on the racetrack. First priority is get the thing running again. He appears to be okay and gets back into the fray. Larry Brooks tumbling as the teammates hook up in a battle. Swink, number 10, now under pressure from his long, tall teammate Jimmy Button, number 34. But they're both getting some heat from number 2, Jeremy McGrath. McGrath's going to try to get them both at once. No, I don't think so. But he's got Button, and he's working on Swink. Boy, that was a nice pass.
Yeah, that was. Boy, he almost got them both right there in one swoop. And, you know, what I was about to say about McGrath is you can tell in his body positioning and the way he kind of puts a lot of body English into the way he gasses it. Even if it's just a straightaway and it doesn't require a lot of body English, he still puts a lot into it. And that's sort of the aggressive posture, I guess it is, that he uses when he's on the move. And right now, he looks really good.
You mentioned earlier that Swink rides a wide bike. Swink knows McGrath is there, and there's not a great deal of love lost between these two. They were champions of their respective divisions in 125 Supercross. McGrath in the West and Swink in the east, and they were expected to be stars together when they moved up to 250. What happened was Jeremy stole the limelight, and Swink has been stuck in the shadows of Jeremy McGrath ever since. I guarantee you he'd like to show that he's faster than Jeremy here today. Takes a big wide line and holds on to that spot. McGrath through the whoop-de-doos trying to do something with him.
Well, you know, as you saw, well, he's made the pass, no doubt, but as Swink went into that left-hand corner, man, he just trail rode in there. He rode really slow as if to kind of wonder what McGrath's going to do, maybe stop in the corner and keep him from being able to square him off, but it was a bad move.
Look what happens here in the whoops, though. Swink comes right back, and Jeremy, using that timing technique he talked about before, actually riding down through a couple of the whoops, goes a little slower through there and gives the spot back.
Yeah, well, Swink he rides with a lot more strength and, I don't know, just grit. And McGrath is able to take that line and use that technique lap after lap after lap, and I guess he just feels more comfortable doing that. But these guys are having a great battle right now.
Yeah, they really are. When you get these two together side by side for this long, you kind of wait for the sparks to start to fly. Swink hanging on as McGrath makes attack after attack, pulls by again, and regains that spot, looks back over his shoulder as if to say, hey, I can do this anytime I want, and then roosts away from Swink, and that looks like that might be the pass he'll make stick.
Yeah, it seems like he's already pulled away a little bit. Swink made just a little bit of bobble right there coming out of that berm, and now he's got company. He's got a couple of guys breathing down his neck, and possibly he'll start riding a little bit more defensive, and that'll allow McGrath to get away.
McGrath into third, has come through a bunch of traffic, but look who's included in that group closing up on third place. Number 7, Mike LaRocco, came from 37 at the end of the first lap. Another amazing charge. We'll be back. We're back, Dave Despain with David Bailey, enjoying round 9 of the AMA National Motocross Championship. And here comes Mike LaRocco, number 7. After the bad start, he has caught Brian Swink, and I got a feeling this isn't going to take long. Swink moves over and leaves him a half-mile of racetrack to run right through.
Well, Swink has taken that line for the whole race, and he's been passed there 3 times, first by Stan, and then McGrath, and does it again. He didn't learn his lesson.
Number 34 behind him, Jimmy Button, gets real sideways, about swapped right off the whoops and into the fence, but manages to gather things back up. McGrath is now third, and that makes LaRocco fourth. Take another look at the pass.
Well, you see Swink heading for that outside line. I mean, what's he expect is going to happen? You know, I don't understand why he would do that 3 times in a row and let guys by each time. Possibly he just feels the pressure of LaRocco, and probably not a whole lot he can do to hold him off anyway, so why not just take a line he's comfortable in?
LaRocco wastes no time reeling in McGrath. He wants to go all the way to the front. Oh, he's fast through this section. He's going to ride right by Jeremy McGrath. Again, Jeremy up and down through those whoops, and LaRocco just skipping across the top of him, is into the top 3. A terrific run today. You draw the comparison between yourself and Rick Johnson back a few years ago.
Well, I look at LaRocco riding, and I've already alluded to him as being a lot like Rick Johnson as far as his aggression, the way he looks right through there, coming up the hill, the way he hunches and holds his head and shoulders. And you know, I ride a lot more like, or rode a lot more like what I see McGrath doing. A lot more timing and finesse, and without the ability to really hang it out. And that's the thing that he's lacking. And in order for him to beat LaRocco, he's going to have to put a lot more speed into that finesse, or else start riding a little bit more wild.
Seeing the first 4 go through. There's Button. He's 5th. Swink is 6th, and now under pressure from number 11, Larry Ward. These two have tangled in Supercross this year. Swink has made a couple of enemies out there on the racetrack, and I guarantee you there's nobody that would like to get around him more right now than Larry Ward. He mentioned in the first moto that he's having a pretty good season. Top 5s are his goal, and he needs one more spot, and he'll take it with ease as he dives up the inside, has the inside line covered. Well, Swink will retaliate on the outside. Now Ward makes the pass stick, and he's inside the top 5.
Oh, look at Swink right there. Just sort of figured, oh boy, I got to regroup now. He kind of just trail rode up through that straightaway once he got. He's been passed by everybody now, so not a lot of motivation there.
He's gone the wrong way for sure. Just couldn't manage to sustain the speed here today. He got out second, couldn't hang on to it. Jeff Stanton will be next to come under attack from Mike LaRocco. And I guess if we think back to that pre-race soundbite about what it's going to take to beat LaRocco, Stanton pretty well conceded going in that he didn't have the speed for the length of the moto to beat LaRocco. We're getting down to the late laps here, and LaRocco has had to come from 37th to get where he is. Stanton's had pretty much a cruise all day, so I suppose this is pretty much inevitable, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I mean, Stanton is, he's got the ability to ride the same way as LaRocco with just a lot of strength and being able to muscle his way through whatever line he ends up in, but he doesn't seem to display the confidence that he once had about being able to do that for the whole race and, at that top level of speed that LaRocco's been able to run.
It's hard to imagine the difference that a couple of tenths, a half a second a lap can make, but you really do move into a whole other realm. The racetrack just gets very, very busy when you start running the kind of lap times that Mike LaRocco runs, and he just blitzes by Stanton, Jeff. Well, Jeff will come back along the outside, but that's kind of a half-hearted effort just to let Mike know that, yeah, there was a day when I could have come back around you and we could have had a pretty good race out of this, but those days are gone.
Yeah, he rode right down the hill on the outside. He didn't protect the inside very well, and possibly he just felt the inevitable coming and just let it happen.
I'll tell you what, top three in this moto is still going to make a good overall finish for Jeff Stanton if he can hang on to it, but this guy may not be finished yet. Continuing to cut some terrific lap times. Jeremy McGrath has come from a fair ways back in the pack and may play a role in this before it's all over. I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch anybody in the top three. The mystery man in all this is your leader. We haven't seen much of John Dowd because he's been on cruise control out front all the way. McGrath is looking very good right now.
Yeah, he looks really good. It's I think he had an opportunity to hook up with LaRocco and probably charge through the pack, and he wasn't able to do that, so he's definitely not running the pace fast enough to win this thing. But, he's riding pretty good. Dowd, on the other hand, is riding a fast pace. He's had clean sailing since the start. He hasn't had any real challenge, but I have a feeling that LaRocco is going to come up and challenge him and possibly get him. See if he can. Stay with us.
Back in Minnesota, where Jimmy Button, the long, tall, lanky motocrosser on the Suzuki out of Corning, New York, is all by himself now, having been involved in a bit of a melee earlier for position. He was 8th in the first moto, running 5th here, and trying to consolidate a top 5 overall finish for the day. Not a bad day for Jimmy and Team Suzuki. Meanwhile, up front, John Dowd continues to lead. The question is whether he can hold off the charge of Mike LaRocco, who is coming on like Buster's gang. This is going to get pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I think you can hear the cheers from the crowd, the anticipation of just what's going to happen, and if Dowd can, in fact, hold him off. I don't know. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
You can see the interval there, the gap, as Dowd tries to maintain the advantage, but LaRocco definitely coming on strong. Meanwhile, Jeremy McGrath has caught and passed his teammate Jeff Stanton and taken over 3rd. He's also cutting some quick laps here late in the moto. Now, missing from the picture as we watch the leaders come through traffic, Mike Kedrowski, who broke his finger at Unadilla. It dropped him out of contention for the championship. Now the talk is of when he will return and whether he'll be able to ride Motocross to Nations. Here's Art.
Dave, it's still up in the air when Mike Kedrowski will rejoin the circuit. I know his team manager, Roy Turner, hopes that he'll wait another week after Washougal.
Basically, he's targeting to come back at Washougal. He'd like to come back at Washougal. I think it's probably still a little bit early. I think Binghamton's a more realistic target for him. And if he can be ready at Binghamton or Delmont, either one of our last 2 national rounds, I think it's the most practical to give him enough time to be 100% healed up. I think if he comes back at Washougal, we may be dealing with a problem. It's a little bit early, and if the injury should become worse or, cause any complications, then the effort, him as part of the Motocross to Nations team, I think will be compromised. And this late of a date, it's going to be difficult to put anybody else in his place. So right now, that's probably our most important target, is to have him ready for Motocross to Nations. And that's really about it for this year. So probably Delmont or Binghamton, one of those 2 rounds, he'll be back.
All right, that's the update on Kedrowski, and the update on the battle for the lead is John Dowd holding on, Mike LaRocco coming fast, and I expect John feeling a little heat here.
Oh, he's got to be so nervous. This is, it's a terrible feeling when he knows if he can hold him off, he's going to win his 2nd national, and boy, LaRocco's caught him so quick. I don't think Dowd realizes how far he's come, but he's definitely come from off the pace and caught him quick, and he feels probably very threatened at this point.
We'll be back to see who's going to hold on and win the Spring Creek National right after this. Showdown time at Spring Creek. The leader, number 16 on the Yamaha, John Dowd, takes the white flag, maybe, just maybe, 5 yards behind the man who was 37th going into the second turn, Mike LaRocco, the runaway championship point leader. The question is simple: will LaRocco catch him?
Well, he's pretty much caught him, David. It's just a matter at this point, whoever wins this moto wins the overall. And, boy, you know, Dowd has got to be so nervous right now. And LaRocco has caught him, and he's obviously faster, but, you know, it looks to me like Dowd isn't really, you know what I like here is he's protected that inside line. He's riding smart, and it doesn't look like LaRocco's been able to really close right in, like he's actually, you know, poised and ready to make a move. Dowd is actually holding his own still.
I think LaRocco may have actually lost ground through the whoop section that time. He talks about picking up the front wheel. He had it way up in the air, had the thing straight up and down for a moment, and indeed, it looks like Dowd is pulling away. He has responded to the charge from LaRocco. You made a good point just before the commercial break. John Dowd doesn't know that Mike LaRocco has come from 37th, although he might be smart enough to assume that, since LaRocco does that about 9 times out of 10. The more important point, I think, is when LaRocco got there, Dowd had something for him. He upped the pace.
Well, you know, in the first moto, the same situation happened, but it was about halfway through the moto. Here, he's only got to do it one more lap. And if you can take the race in smaller increments like that, boy, just, you know, the challenge isn't nearly as overwhelming. And it looks to me like he's got a pretty good advantage here. Even if he makes a slight bobble, I don't think that LaRocco's going to be able to capitalize.
Well, the crowd's certainly getting into it. Hard to tell whether they're cheering louder for John Dowd, the leader, or Mike LaRocco, the pursuer. But believe me, these fans are getting their money's worth here today. John Dowd looking for his second national victory of his career. The first came at Hangtown in 1991 in the mud. And the second one will come right here if he can just keep LaRocco at bay for a couple of corners. He's got it made. He's going to win this thing by upping the pace when it mattered most in the last quarter of a lap. John Dowd, hands and feet in the air, has won it. Big Brian Barry is there with the bear hug. The Team Yamaha, Boyson Penske crew, all there celebrating, and the crowd on their feet for John Dowd. Boy, he is pumped. It's going to be fun hearing from him in just a moment. To review the official results, it's Dowd over LaRocco in the second moto. McGrath, Stanton, and Button, your top 5. Ward, Dubach, Swink, Lewis, and Neese, the top 10. And here's Art Ekman with the winner, John Dowd.
Oh, man.
Well, now's not the time to be speechless, John. You realize.
Oh, no, I'm so happy. I didn't think it could be done. I guess, I don't know, did Mike get a bad start or something?
Mike got a bad start, but there were a lot of fast runners in between, but he closed the gap pretty fast on you.
Yeah, I guess that was the break I needed, I guess. You know, I got another good start, and I mean, the bike is running excellent. Everything is working great today, and I don't know, I was just kind of riding around trying not to think about the guys behind me, and I seen him coming at the end, though. I mean, I was like, oh, no, and I was pushing my hardest.
You think the confidence of the first moto and the confidence that's been built up each week, though, helped you when you had to call for it in the last lap?
Well, yeah, I think so, because I was kind of, I mean, he passed me. I bobbled in the first moto there. You know, I made a little mistake in the back section, and he got by me. I mean, I don't know if he would have got by me or not, but I was kind of sitting back in my truck thinking, man, if I didn't make that mistake, I wonder what would have happened. So I was really just trying to concentrate real hard on trying to stay smooth and not make that mistake. So I don't know, I guess it worked out.
Just what does it mean to you right now, and Yamaha, of course, with the situation?
Oh, I'm so happy. I hope them guys are happy. I mean, this is the best day of my life right here. I mean, I won a national back in '91 there, but that was in the mud and everything, and a lot of people have like things. Sometimes they say, well, yeah, because of the mud, you know, and this and that. So I don't think anyone can say anything today. And it was a beautiful day. The track was great, and I did it. I'm so happy.
Hard not to be happy for him. He says it's the happiest day of his life as he beats Mike LaRocco and answers the question that Art Ekman raised earlier. Who can beat Mike LaRocco in 1994? Let's hear from Mike about that late race charge.
Yeah, I got tangled up in the first turn after I had some problems off the gate, and I knew I wasn't gonna, I just had to give it all I got and or all I had and try and go for the win, and I just came up a little short.
Well, to John Dowd's credit, too, he took advantage of the opportunity for his first win this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got the whole shot, and there wasn't really anybody to slow him down, so he got out and, rode a comfortable pace and, made me work hard to catch him.
Of the riders you had to go through, what was the toughest logistical point?
I think by the time I got to John, I was, I didn't have full energy like I had when I went through the pack, and at that time it was either I got by right away or it would have been tough. I started making some mistakes in the last few laps, and that cost me. So, like I said, when I got there, it was a little low on fuel.
There's a tired boy right there. You can see the fatigue in Mike LaRocco's face. He moves a step closer to the championship. Dowd and McGrath indeed get around Kedrowski. Your final thoughts, David Bailey?
Well, first of all, I think this is the biggest crowd you'll ever see at a trophy presentation. You just got a little shot of it there. These people are really appreciative, and I think, these guys gave him a great battle today, all the way down to the last turn. And, I would have thought McGrath or Stan or somebody like that would have come out and possibly taken the advantage of LaRocco's mishap. But, for Dowd to do it and come right through everybody and win, I'm really happy for him. And it's a great performance, and Yamaha's got to be happy with the choice.
Add his name to the list of stars who have won heads-up in AMA National Motocross competition. For Art Ekman and David Bailey, I'm Dave Despain. Our congratulations to John Dowd, and we'll see you next week.